Hello all.
Afternoon, how are you, Toby?
Good, thanks very much. You?
I'm fine, thanks, yeah.
Great.
Are you ready? Do you want me to start us off?
Go.
Yeah. Usually then, this game versus Cardiff is a Judgment Day fixture. How is everyone looking forward to playing at the Arms Park?
I think everyone's looking forward to it, yeah. I think that you saw last week, Welsh derbies, whoever's playing in them are very passionate and exciting affairs normally. So, yeah, we haven't played for a little while, so we're excited to get out there, and it happens to be Cardiff. Whoever we were playing in a Welsh derby, you know, the sentiment's the same. It's an exciting time and we're really looking forward to it.
You have some few players who know that stadium well, of course, Gareth Anscombe, Alex Cuthbert and Matt Sherratt, one of the coaches at Cardiff, used to coach at the Osprey, so it's going to be quite a homely affair.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah. I mean, all we focus on really is what we want to do and how we're going to do it, so I understand why people ask the questions, and you know, I've been shown other interviews that other people have done and bits and pieces. You know, we're very much focused on what we need to do because you know there's not many games left, and we want to finish the game as strong as the season as strong as possibly and get some reward for what's been a difficult and challenging season through availability and various bits and pieces. But we're still in with a shout to push on and win the Welsh Shield and try and do that, and that starts with Cardiff this week.
You mentioned it earlier, you haven't played since you returned from South Africa, so how has training been? Has it been nice to just have time on the training field and also maybe some deserved rest as well?
Yeah, obviously South Africa was very revealing for lots of reasons, but you know, mainly a clash of styles really, as a lot of the Northern Hemisphere teams witnessed, and similar to when they came up here, and that those sort of things will work themselves out over time. And but yeah, to have a little bit of downtime. It was very good for us as a squad, and certainly for me, observing players in you know a group environment due to COVID and all the reasons that we've talked about previously. So that was added value, if you like. And then to come back and get some time to actually work on some stuff and get some fitness into players that are returning and getting some competition for places has been quite a competitive couple of weeks for us, you know, on the training pitch, and that's exciting because that healthy competition pushes people to perform, and we've seen certainly you know an upsurge in the competitiveness in training because people are now vying for selection.
And as you brought it up, players coming back into fitness then, I will ask about George North. How close is he? Will he be featuring on the weekend?
I like the way you say I brought it up. It was your next question, I know it was, so that's fine. No, it's I understand that. No, George isn't. George is actually fit, as in healthy, but from a volume point of view, he's not going to be involved this week. I think everybody, Justin Tipuric obviously not, Jack Regan obviously not. Other people I think are, there's one question mark, but we don't know about that, and that's not a long-term injury, that's just a dead leg. But the people that you'll always ask me about, Alun Wyn Jones, etc., the Welsh contingent, yeah, they're all fit and available.
Because Alun Wyn was going to be my next question, because he could win his 250th cap for the region. So how special would that be for him and his family, and as an Ospreys player, I suppose, if he does play on the weekend?
Yeah, I mean, if you add it into the international caps, you know, if you put those 400 first-class games or international standard first-class games is an unbelievable achievement. I said it on record last time that I don't think, you know, everyone was talking about the 150. Well, you know, from an international point of view, I just find that an absolute phenomenal number in the attritional position that he plays. So I don't think we'll see those numbers again. But as he would put it, and only as he would understand it, it doesn't really matter. He doesn't see, he'll enjoy the milestones at the end. All he's really focused about is playing well, performing well for the Ospreys and proving to everybody that he's still the force to be reckoned with, and I have no doubt that will take its place.
Back to Cardiff then. What have you made of them? Because they've had pretty two not so good derbies, and then they played quite well against Saracens in the European competition on the weekend. So what do you make of them?
Yeah, I think that we know. Look, the Welsh regions know each other pretty well, right? So we know what they're good at. We know what their strengths are. Likewise, they will know the same about us. It often comes down in derbies about who can execute what they want to do on the day. I think the change in competition probably helped them. They were certainly in both of the Scarlets games. They found South Africa tough like we did. So there's lots of similarities in the preparation to this point. We know that they're at home. We know that they'll want to bounce back. We know that they want a result. We know that they've got a good performance to base their preparation on last Sunday against Sarries, against a very, very good team, as everyone knows. It's going to be an arm wrestle, and that's going to be how how derbies often are. And if you can hold your nerve, deal with the pressure, deliver the game you want to deliver, you normally come out on top.
I just want to go back quickly to what you said about the South African teams and how they play out there, because you haven't played a game since you come back. So the 3 weeks on the training field, what have you taken from that style of rugby that they played out there? Have you tried to not change your own style, but try and implement that kind of rugby into what you're trying to do, or?
No, not necessarily into what we're trying to do. It definitely gives us consideration to how much flexibility and what sort of players that you require to be, to play on, in that sort of arena. It's more around athletes than playing style, but you need enough playing style, principles, call it what you want, identity to be able to play different ways. And I think that's the challenge for everybody, them coming this way and us going that way.
And finally from me then, just a quick word on Tom Botha, signed a new deal. Well, it's been announced today. How great is it to have him on board for another season? Yeah,
Tommy's a good scrummager. He's very committed. He's got a reputation in set piece, and the first thing that you look for is in your tight head prop is obviously their ability from a scrum point of view, as you'd expect. A wise man once said to me, first most important person in the club is first choice tight head, second most important is reserve tight head. So from that point of view, if you want to play with good quality set piece players, you need to be very good at scrums, and we make no apology for wanting to be good at the set piece part of the game, because we believe that it gives you a foothold into other parts of the game. So to have Tommy signed up, obviously Tom Francis everybody knows about, and we've got a couple of good youngsters coming in behind them. It's important that we build strength in depth, and Tommy's part of that.
Fab. Cheers, thanks Toby, good luck.
You're welcome, thank you.
Toby, just on Alun Wyn now, do you expect him to be available for the last 4 games of the season, or does he need to have a bit more management still in his game time?
No, I expect him to be available. We've obviously been very conscious, as you know, he didn't go to South Africa, and we're very deliberate on what we did post the Six Nations to get him to a point where he's raring to go, fully fit, and we don't envisage, bar obviously what encounters in training and playing, but he's definitely at full force for sure.
With George, do you expect to see him before the end of the season, or are we in the rounds of writing this year off?
I expect to see him next week.
So, just on Cardiff, they've had a difficult couple of weeks. Obviously, I know they've played since, but the back-to-back games against the Scarlets obviously left a bit of a mark on them. What are you expecting? Because it's the first time they'll have been back at the Arms Park as well since that game against the Scarlets. It could be a reaction.
Oh, without doubt. I mean, one thing, all the Welsh regions are very proud. Proud people, proud about where they play, who they play for. You saw that in the contingency stuff they had to go through when they were stuck in South Africa, and you saw the people that adorned the shirt and played there, and the passion that the crowd got behind. So, yeah, I'm sure they're going to try and invoke the crowd into it. It's a packed out, sold out crowd, I understand. So they'll try and use that, and we understand that. But we've got to be, confident and understand what we need to do in order to negate that. So from that point of view, yeah, it's an away home derby. Just like Dragons was in the very first round of the URC, we know that comes with certain levels of mental control and ability to compete, and there'll be times where the game's not in our favour and we need to ride out those rough patches as you do away from home, and try and assert ourselves as often as possible and as frequently as possible onto them to give ourselves the best chance.
And just on a bit of a wider question, World Rugby are looking to get more evidence to support a red card law trial that's happening in the Southern Hemisphere. We've heard the URC head of officials sort of show a bit of an interest in that. But what's your verdict on that sort of 20-minute law trial for red cards?
I think that coaches and players, well, not such coaches, but players are catching up from effectively years of neglect, for want of a better phrase. And I think that we want teams to determine an outcome by the laws of the game, okay, and the ability of playing well. Now, it's under no illusion that reducing players obviously weights the dice in one direction. So if it's a way of us understanding in the short term that we're a bit more empathetic about tackle laws and getting tackle heights down, I think that that's for that. I understand it, but a red card's a red card. If it's outside of that, everyone has a responsibility. I think I'm more interested in the consistency about what is a yellow, what is a red, and understanding, the feel of the mitigation rugby collision injuries. So when someone steps back to you under, I've spoken to referees and they feel they don't have very, very much option to go. This leads to this. It's very formulaic. So, look, I think that if I would, it's not my decision. I understand why people would entertain that in order to sort of smooth the passage a little bit. But ultimately, our responsibility is to the safety of our players, and the actions of people playing the game have to be conditioned, if you like, because if you can't control your actions, then you're going to fall foul of potentially risking the welfare of a player, and we all know that that's of paramount importance.
Do you get consulted on these trials before they get brought in? I know we've seen the 50-22 was trial, for example, wasn't it, before it came in?
Yeah.
Do you get asked whether you'd like to see these?
No, not well. I haven't been in this case. I have been involved in feedback before around certain trials. Obviously not since I've been in Wales, but in England for certain we were consulted about certain law trials, etc. Look, we all want the same thing. We want a better spectacle, a better game, more entertainment. We want the best team to win, and we want a safe game that everyone wants to play. So from that point of view, we all want the same thing, and we've all got positive intent. The difficulty is navigating that way, and getting everybody to the safest and best result.
And just lastly, another wider question about sort of player development, and there's a conversation going on in Wales at the moment about the role of the Premiership. I know I'm just going to throw Harry Deves out there because I saw his name on Bridgend team sheets, for example. Mm-hmm. Do you see the Premiership as a good place to develop your sort of players like Deves, who perhaps isn't going to be in the team every week but needs somewhere to play to sort of bring his game along?
Whether it's the Premiership or across the bridge or where players need to play. The difficulty is the consequence of a very truncated season, international windows. It's not ideal, and we have to find a way. So I don't think there's a single way. I've got players, for example, in our setup who I believe would be much better versed by going on loan out of this country to abroad for 12 months. And there are some that I think, playing a Premiership season week in and week out and getting roughed up a little bit, I think that suits them. So I don't think it's one set way, and that's where you have to spend the time on working out the best plan for them, because again, we want to get people through and playing and competing at first team level for us, and then obviously if they're Welsh qualified on for Wales as soon as possible. So I don't think there's effectively one fit. You need all those mechanisms open to you. The stronger the Premiership, the stronger the development structures, the quicker the talent gets through the pipeline.
What's the difference then between, say, the Welsh Premiership or the English Championship? What are the considerations there?
I think the style of play. I think the positions that you play, for example. I think that, for example, if we want to develop players that want to play that have to play in, say, in South Africa for the URC, you're better off putting them in those sort of environments, for example. Whereas if you need to work out how to scrummage well through November, December, January, then you need to get exposed to that sort of levels of pressure and exposure. So, those are the sort of things. Certain leagues, certain competitions lend themselves to certain things. So that's why I think having that flexibility is a good thing.